So I just saw Doctor Sleep a couple of days ago, and yes, I know that in my Slenderman review I did say that I had a different video planned for both The Shining and Doctor Sleep that was probably coming out in 2020, but after watching the movie I realized something. I have way more to say about this movie than I thought I would. And yes, I know this is the third horror movie review I make in a row, but don't worry guys, the next video will be something different, promise. Oh, and of course, as usual, spoilers for Doctor Sleep, and I guess The Shining as well. You have been warned. So yeah, with that out of the way, let's actually talk about the movie. I had decently high expectations for this movie, mainly because it was a sequel to The Shining, which is one of my favorite movies of all time, let alone horror movies. And, well, yeah, I still did have high expectations. They weren't like that high, because I pretty much knew that this movie wasn't going to be as good as Stanley Kubrick's masterpiece. And guys, very quick disclaimer, I have not read any of the books, so I have not read The Shining or Doctor Sleep, so I can't really speak for these movies as how close they are to the books or whatever, so don't expect me to get too into that into this video. But what I can talk about is the movie itself, and you know what? I was actually kind of pleasantly surprised. I mean, I wasn't wrong in the fact that it's not as good as The Shining, but I mean, really, I didn't expect it to be either. I would have been very surprised if it was. So you might be thinking, well, what was so good about it? Well, most of the things in the movie were pretty good about it. First off, both the acting and the characters were actually pretty solid, especially Ewan McGregor as Danny Torrance. He just sold the hell out of this role. The cinematography in the movie was great, there are just so many shots that I remember distinctly. And the final thing that I think is worth mentioning about this movie is that I loved how it managed to be so different from the original Shining, but also feel like it's in the same universe as The Shining as well. And what I mean by that is that it managed to balance very well being something new and different, and being a sequel to The Shining with similarities and all that stuff. I mean, you have new stuff like the Shining eating cult or whatever you should call them, but then you also have stuff like references to the original movie like Red Rum, the Tub Lady, and all other stuff like that. And that's so awesome because it could have been very easy for them to just bank on nostalgia and just make this movie just like the original Shining. But they actually made it very different, but familiar at the same time, so I applaud them for that. However, I have to be fair, because even though this movie was really good, it isn't perfect, and I'm going to go into the things that didn't work for me with this movie now. Starting with the pacing in the movie. It was just really off a lot of the time. And I think the beginning of the movie that takes place in like 1980 or whatever it was, I actually think that was pretty good, you know, the scenes there were pretty good. But then when it jumps on to like 2010 or whatever it was, the movie just became kind of slow to me, and it also tried to introduce way too many new things, like in the start of the movie, and I understand that it had to do that since there was a lot of new things in this movie, like they had to introduce us to Danny and how he had changed, they had to introduce us to this girl, they had to introduce us to this Shining eating cult, I still don't know what to call them, and it just felt like a little bit too much, a little bit too quickly. And like I briefly mentioned, because of the odd pacing, some of the scenes and some of the time in the movie was kind of slow and it didn't really feel like it was going anywhere. But to be fair, that wasn't the case for most of the movie, it was just a problem that I kind of realized when those scenes actually arrived there. Another problem I had with this movie was that some of the deaths in the movie felt kind of, well, inconsequential. And I have two examples of this in the movie. First off is the main Shining girl's dad. Now, he died in the middle of the movie and, well, it just didn't really feel like the girl had that much of a reaction to it. I mean, yeah, they did acknowledge it, but it just kind of felt like she came over the fact that her dad just got killed by the people who are trying to get her a little bit too quickly. I don't know, I feel like they should have had a little bit more dialogue to just express the fact that she was actually very sad about it. And I guess you could defend this by saying like, oh, you know, her father wasn't that big of a character. It's kind of like when the cult members get shot by Danny and his friend in that one scene. It isn't that big of a deal. At least to the story. And well, yeah, I guess you could take that as a problem. Like, trying to defend it. I have another example of a character who was way more important to the movie than her father. That being the leader of the cult people. You know, the girl, the lady with the magician's hat. I don't remember what she's called, don't judge me. Now, don't get me wrong, I think her death was really cool, you know, having all the characters, or like the ghosts of the Overlook Hotel from the first movie, like, basically taking out and eating her shining, which she has been doing to innocent people this whole time as well, and having her having to experience the same pain that she has brought to so many others. It was honestly a pretty cool death, but it doesn't really feel that big. Or important, I guess I should say, right? Right after her death, it just kind of gets forgotten about. Then the movie is about Danny and the girl trying to burn down the Overlook Hotel, which, I mean, yeah, it's a cool ending, but like, what? However, guys, speaking of the Overlook Hotel, wow, I just want to talk about the ending of this movie. The climax of this movie was awesome. I loved it. Them going back to the Overlook Hotel and us meeting all their favorite characters once again from the original movie, it's just so cool. I mean, the whole gang is here. You got the Grady twins, the Great Party, isn't it? Guy, the Blood Elevator, and even freaking Jack Torrance making an appearance as the bartender. And it was awesome. So all in all, this movie comes with its, fair share of problems, but they are in no way enough of them to make up for the fact that this movie is just good overall. Like, this movie is just solid. I like the characters, I like the story, I like the cinematography, I like the dialogue fine enough, and things like the opening and the climax were just amazing. And while sure, the pacing is kind of off sometimes, and some character deaths I would have liked to be a little bit more impactful, but overall I think this movie is really good, and it's a really good continuation of The Shining. Again, I haven't read the book, so I would probably have to give a lot of credit, like the story and the fact that it was different to the book, but again, I haven't read it, so I don't know how close this movie is to the actual book, so yeah, I'll just give the movie credit for now. So yeah, because I'm probably not gonna get to reading the books. I mean, come on now, I'm not much of a reader. So overall, guys, I think I'm going to give this movie an 8.5 out of 10. Watch this movie if you haven't already, though you should probably watch The Shining first, because trust me, if you haven't watched The Shining and you watch this movie, you're probably not gonna know what is going on most of the time. And plus, if you do watch The Shining first, then you'll be able to appreciate way more all the references and callbacks that are in this movie. But anyway, guys, that's it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you guys in the next video, which is probably going to be in like a month or something, but okay, I'll try and get it out in like 2 months. No, I mean 2 weeks. 2 months, what am I saying? Bye! Is this thing recording? Oh shit!